I think I'll introduce Randy Young. As you know, he is our own voice of the Thomas County Central Yellow Jackets. And we try to get him to be fair to all concerned, but he is truly a Yellow Jacket. But he's going to introduce our speakers today and moderate our panel. Thank y'all.
Yeah, the crowd goes mild. That's good. It is an honor to be able to share the stage with them, some of Thomasville and Thomas County's finest. We're going to start and just do this in alphabetical order, which is the fairest way to do it. We'll start with Danny Copeland. Now, it's hard for me to call him Danny Copeland. He's Danny Boy. That's what I've known him all of his life. He's youngest of three boys, went to Thomas County schools, excelled in academics and athletics. At Central, he participated in track, basketball, but football was where he earned all-region honors. Active in numerous school clubs, dedicated himself to academics and focused on football. It was nothing to see him after a football practice at the Jackets Nest be up under a light doing homework after practice. He was voted the outstanding graduate of the class of '84 from Central. He ended up going to the University of Eastern Kentucky. He was all conference for 2 years there, also an academic All-American. His hard work paid off. NFL scouts noticed him, and he was drafted and spent 6 years in the NFL, earned a Super Bowl ring, the only guy up here with a Super Bowl ring, by the way, just point that out. Just saying. Earned that with the Washington Redskins and was the Redskins Man of the Year in 1993. Mr. Danny Copeland. How about a round of applause for that? Danny, grab that mic and tell everybody what you're up to these days.
Thank you guys for coming out to support the United Way. I'm privileged. I'm so blessed to be a part of this panel. I do not deserve to be up here with these people. They just needed somebody to balance the thing off. But right now, I am blessed to be writing and administering fitness programs. My beautiful wife here, our son David, 2, getting the second, and Joseph. Danielle's somewhere, we lost her again.
Over here.
Okay, and our oldest get to spend time writing and administering programs. Danielle actually runs the YMCA tennis program, and it's just been a blessing. I must say, humbly, we were fortunate and really blessed to be able to return to this community and be able to sow some fun stuff, mainly life, into kids here. And since we've gotten some older kids, we now have opportunities to administer programs for a lot of our seniors, and that's been as rewarding as we get to see people overcome physical challenges, and sometimes it's as we age, move into new seasons, that challenge of just kind of exploring life beyond, we call it the curve. But it's been a blessing, big time blessing to be able to share the same programming with seniors here in town.
Thank you, Danny. And by the way, he wore his Super Bowl ring if you want to see that. Just saying, these guys up here might want to take a look at it before you get back. Just right there. So, Mike Jones had a fantastic career at Thomasville High in the late 80s. 3 different sports that he focused on. Track team, where he earned region champ status in the 4x100 relay in '88 and '89. Also placed 3rd in the state in the same event in '98. Region champ in 1989 in the 100 and 200 meter events. Continued on as a state finalist in those events. Also 3 years started for the boys basketball team, which was region champs, as well as state finalists in '87. Sport would carry him furthest was football. Went to the University of Georgia. I was giving Don Sims a moment to be able to do that because I knew that was going to happen. While at Thomasville, of course, he was all-region for 2 years. 1988 was on the preseason Super 11 from the AJC and also a preseason All-American from Lindy South. Once a dog at Georgia, 4-year starter named freshman All-SEC team in 1989. He was the Georgia Comeback Player of the Year in 1991. After graduation, Mike's interest in athletics have continued. He also worked with the New York Jets as one of their strength and conditioning coaches. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mike Jones. Punch it one time. There you go.
I'm not a tech guy, I'm just talk. So good luck. Thank you guys so much for having me join these guys here. I kind of dulled down the table because they got rings and I don't, so I kind of dulled it down a little bit. But I've been fortunate to come back with my wife in the back, and my oldest is with us. We got two that are where they're supposed to be in school because they don't have jobs just yet. But they're with us, with my parents. Everybody know the mayor. I think of Thomasville, not the real mayor, but Danny Jones back there with my wife. Keep him mad because I called him out, but it's a great opportunity to come back. Got my career started with sports, and sports has allowed me to serve people, and that's kind of where coming back I've been able to serve people in full-time ministry, which my wife and I we're doing now as well. I'm able to serve in the neighborhood as a local realtor here in Thomasville, and along with the Thomasville Community Development Corporation, just going in places where people sometimes feel forgotten or feel lost and underserved, to go in and let them know that they're seen, they're heard, and we got somebody here that's going to advocate for them. So I appreciate being back, giving to Thomasville what Thomasville gave to me. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Mike. Of course, Shawn started at Thomasville as well. He's playing time in high school, starting quarterback, led the Dogs to a 29-8-1 record, including an 11-1 record as a senior. 3-year starter, completed 67 of 125 passes for almost 1,400 yards, rushed for 700 yards or so, also at Thomasville. He went from being a Bulldog in high school to a Yellow Jacket in college. There you go. Went to Georgia Tech. Career total of 9,296 total yards, eclipsed the ACC record at that time. Ranked 11th in NCAA history. That's pretty sporty. Outstanding freshman season en route to earning the ACC Rookie of the Year. Finished his career as the winningest quarterback in Georgia Tech history with a career record of 31-14-1. The highlight of his college career, of course, came when in 1990 he led the Yellow Jackets to a national championship. Mr. Mike Jones. Oh, Shawn, sorry. Yeah, I don't want to cuss you like that. I don't want to cuss you. Shawn Jones. Sorry.
No, I appreciate having me here. This is another opportunity to come back. Now what I get to do is do what our coaches did for me, and I get to coach young men and help them achieve their goals academically and athletically. Working as a coach at Thomas University, the guys that I work for, Coach Mitchens and Coach Andy Wolfram in the back, Coach Preston, I see Coach C and Mr. Drew AD and his wife, Coach C and his wife. So I get to work with some great men who have done this for a long time. They have a lot of wisdom, and I get to listen to them, get their wisdom, and get opportunity to share with the other young men.
Awesome. Thank you. Shawn. Last but certainly not least, Junior. I can't call him Charlie Ward Jr. He's Junior. One of the finest athletes that's ever participated in anything to do with Thomasville and Thomas County. All-state football, basketball at Thomas County Central. Would end up going to Florida State. Of course, Florida State, his senior year, set 19 school and 7 ACC records. Won the Heisman Trophy by the largest margin, or one of the largest margins ever. All-ACC, All-American, Davey O'Brien Award. The NFL didn't draft him, so he went to the NBA. The only Heisman Trophy winner to ever play in the NBA, as a matter of fact. Of course, he first-round draft pick for the Knicks and helped the Knicks reach the playoffs 6 straight years from 96 to 2001. 11 seasons in the NBA with New York, San Antonio, and Houston. Served as 2 years as an assistant coach with the Rockets, and then in 2006, elected to the College Football Hall of Fame. 2009, inducted to the Orange Bowl Hall of Fame in 2011. Selected as John Wooden Keys to Life Award winner, and last year was part of the first ever class selected for the Georgia Sports Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, Charlie Ward Jr.
Thanks, Randy.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you guys having me, Ms. Rebecca. Thanks for the opportunity to come back. Definitely grateful to be here with friends. Of course, the Jones family is friends. They're family. Grew up together here in Thomasville. Grateful that I have my parents here. My sister, Lita, and my brother Chad is here as well. But I coach high school basketball down at Florida High in Tallahassee. And I'm co-founder with my wife of our family foundation. And so we're working to make an impact in our community, and actually looking forward to having a father, mentor, mentee clinic here in December, so be on the lookout for that. It's a thing that our family foundation has done over the years. We've done it in Tallahassee, we've done it in Pensacola, so we're looking to branch it off and come here to be able to give back as well. Also, thanks for having me.
Thank you, Junior. Now, you guys don't have to stand up to answer. I've got some questions I want to run by you, and we're just going to kind of open this up and let y'all go. Of course, now, as Junior mentioned, the connections between the Jones family and the Ward family, very well known. Both of those families grew up right by each other. Charlie and Shawn and Mike grew up side by side. But what a lot of you don't know is that there's a connection vicariously from Danny to the Ward family. 1993, ESPN came here and did a story about the tradition of football here in Thomasville, Thomas County. And one of the greatest revelations that came out of that was that Danny Copeland had dated a Ward in high school.
Hey, don't be waking that up.
Now my question, Danny, is this. One of my life heroes is Charlie Ward Sr. I cannot imagine dating one of the Ward girls. What do you remember about Coach Charlie Ward Sr. and his looking at you knowing that you were dating one of his daughters? Do you remember anything, or is there anything you can share? Nothing like putting him on the spot here now, I'm telling you.
That's a great question.
No, I was so blessed to spend time with this family,
Yeah.
and still am.
Yeah.
I learned so much from him, watching him as a father and as a coach. I heard Junior say maybe 4 or 5 months ago, we were at First Baptist Church, and he said, I am a coach because he was a coach. And I'm pretty much in the same position. So blessed to see him again function as a man and as a father and as a coach of other people. Now, I think you might know my Charlie Ward story at this point. I got to share it one more time, but having dated Lisa for however long it was before she dumped me. I didn't say that in public. So I go out for the basketball team as a junior, and I'm excited to have this opportunity to go out for basketball. And then my father-in-law is the coach of the basketball team. So I'm thinking I have one up on everybody else. So I'm gonna be early, get to the gym, probably beat the last bell rings. I know I was in the gym and ready to try out for basketball. Knew absolutely nothing about basketball. Coach Ward looked at me, and I think he might have read my mind, but he looked at me and he said, "Oh, no, where you going?" I said, I'm here to try out for basketball. He said, "Oh, no, ain't nobody from Meg's trying out for my basketball team, but better go catch that bus." Now, the buses were firing up out in the parking lot, and I'm standing there, I'm trying, is he joking? God, he's not smiling. What do you do? So I tried to save face and went out the back door of the gym. So all the people that I told, get your tickets because I'm going to be on the basketball team this year. I don't want those people on the bus looking at me like, okay, I guess he didn't make it. Just in the gym for 2 minutes. All said, Coach Ward had some guys 3 or 4 years older than I was that were fortunate to be on that basketball team, but didn't know how fortunate they were. Yeah. And they made a mess. They simply made a mess for guys from my little town, and I understood it. I don't know, honestly, we never talked about it very much, but my grandfather had just given me a lesson not long before that. He talked to me about your name making it to places before you do. And he talked about that in a negative light. And so when Coach Ward said that, it just got reconfirmed right now what my granddaddy had shared with me. And so I was on a mission from that point to be able to, for the next year, really, to be able to help him just receive me as a young man. And the following spring, he came to me and he said, "Danny boy, now, y'all please, my parents named me Danny. And I'm good with that. So anybody want to call me Danny, I accept that." All said, he asked me to come out and help provide leadership for his basketball team. And that was a blessed moment, knowing at that point I had gained his approval.
There you go. Thank you. That's a great answer. Great answer. And I can tell you, Danny, on top of what you're saying, the influence of that man and Andy Jones and Coach Hodges and that they had on not people going into coaching but the teaching, can't count it. Okay, so let's go back to the early days for all of you guys. Of course, everybody has an athlete, if you're a sports guy, when you're a young guy, that you love and you idolize. Who was your guy whenever you were coming up that you said, okay, that's who I want to be like? Was there anybody that stood out? And again, there's no order here. Just take it and run. Anybody stand out?
Julius Irving.
Ooh, good one. That was mine too.
Mainly because of the afro, but but no, I guess it was a standard setter as a young kid. First thing, seeing somebody that looked like me, but playing on a higher level, and just how he carried himself. You know, when they showed him in interviews, it was professional, and he put himself at the best at what he did.
Pure class.
Pure class. But it resonated to where I was, because I was always chasing these two, trying to be better than them.
Right.
So to see where that could take you,
Right.
Julius was my guy.
Anybody else?
Oh, well, for me, I had quite a few jerseys growing up. I'm not sure if I had quite a few jerseys growing up. And so O.J. Simpson was one. Walter Payton was another one. And so, of course, Walter Payton is the one I'm going to claim. Because he's sweetness, and he ran through people and he juked people, and that's something I wanted to be like. And so I just admired who he was, and those were jerseys and posters I used to have up in my room.
Good ones. So I guess they do need you guys to stand so they can see. If you don't mind. Sorry.
I agree with Mike and Charlie. Dr. J was my hero as far as basketball, but I had a hero for every sport. And so it was O.J. Simpson for football, but for baseball, because we played baseball when we were little, it was Jackie Robinson for me, because he played football, basketball, and baseball all professionally. And I always was intrigued by that, and I was wondering, I wonder if I can do that. But not understanding everything he went through, just watching what he did professionally was what drew my attention to him.
And always pure class. Yes. Every situation. All right, Danny, what about you?
It was real simple for me. I was like Junior now. We had 2 channels on our TV.
Yep.
So I didn't get to see a lot of people. But the Walter Paytons and O.J. before the knife and all that stuff. Just being real. he was one of those guys that I watched and idolized, and I love the runners. Before, Randy's probably going to tell you all, but his wife beat me in a 40-yard dash in the 4th grade.
Yep. Sure did. She's bow-legged too, for what it's worth. Just saying.
And she gets excited telling that story. I have problems with that person. But yeah, I loved watching the runners do what they did, and I just kind of addicted to that. Very young, but there was a quarterback who came through here before Junior and Shawn. His name was Billy Joe Copeland.
Ooh.
And
Okay.
he lit up Thomas County Stadium and really got me. I was maybe 1st grade, the first time I was in the stadium and hearing his name called, and obviously that's a family name, but I probably got addicted sitting in the seats at Thomas County Stadium watching him do what he did.
For those who don't know, well, thank you, Danny, by the way. Nice, great answer from everybody. That 1972 team that he's talking about, that Billy Joe Copeland was the quarterback of, I still to this day say that's the best Thomas County Central team that has ever been. They gave up 24 points in 12 games. And their secondary had more interceptions than the opposing teams had completions. I'll let you figure that one out. 100% true. Okay, everybody had stellar careers, lots to be proud about, but there's always moments you wish you could go back and redo. What is a moment that stands out in your career athletically, game-wise, situation-wise, where if you had an opportunity to go back and change it and do something different, you would? Is there a moment that stands out for you? Told you these are going to be some tough questions.
Well, I have a couple.
Okay. It can't be many.
Well, my junior year I had a really, really rough start. And so I ended the season with 17 interceptions. So if I could go back, I would take away the majority of those interceptions. That's one. And then two, we lost one game my senior year at FSU, and it was against
Notre Dame.
So if I could go back, I would probably play a little bit better in the second quarter of that game, and at the end of the game, have an opportunity to win it, throw it to a guy that probably was open. So those were a couple things that I would like to change from my college career.
Okay.
I remember one. We were playing this guy. And I told the coach in the third quarter, I said, don't blitz.
Wait, how much were y'all ahead from? It was 21-7, is
It
it
was
right?
21-7.
Yeah.
And I said, Coach, don't blitz. He told me to sit down and shut up. And they scored twice, and I said, Coach, don't blitz. He said, let me do my job. So I sat down, and it was 29-24, and they were winning.
I had a wonderful time at Georgia, so I'm just really trying to, other than being 4-7 my sophomore year, but I was second on the team in tackles, so I guess not want to be 4-7.
Yeah.
Was one of them, but my defense coordinator used to say this all the time: turn a good play into a great play, right? I grew up in Thomasville, so we demanded athletically a certain standard, so it wasn't good just to break the pass up. And I realized that because you're playing against Charlie Wood and Shawn Jones in practice, and if you don't pick it off the first time, they throw it for a touchdown the second time you throw it. And so I had several opportunities where I had dropped interceptions and ended up first down and going back and sitting down saying, you know what, I need to get this game over with so we can get out with a dub.
Yeah, I got you. Danny?
I'm as these guys there. A lot of plays I would erase, but I didn't blossom early like these guys, and I think at the end of a career I was still maybe developing as a young athlete. But Gerald Riggs, some of you will remember Gerald Riggs. Gerald played with the Falcons, and when I got to Washington, Gerald was there. Gerald was one of the first guys to get close to $1 million in salary as a running back in the NFL. And he's on our team. And 91, we won the 92 Super Bowl. But in 91, if you could see our team in third and short, 3rd and 2, he got 2 yards, we moved the chains. 3rd and 1, he was gonna get it, we moved the chains, right? I was playing as a starter at that point, and I was playing maybe 70 plays a game with all of the defensive stuff, and then playing all the special teams that they could fit me on. So I'm playing a lot, and Gerald was playing maybe 4 plays a game. I wasn't jealous of his salary, but it was like 10 times more than I was getting paid. And it's one of those things where you go, you know, why? And I know none of you guys would ask that wherever you're working, but why is he making $1 million and I'm
not
and I'm not getting tax money to compare to that? But it was in me. And so one day, you know, we could not hit the prima donna running backs at practice. We couldn't hit the receivers. So we could butt them up. I could step in front of a Gerald Riggs, kind of, you know, give him a little brush, and then move out of the way. Well, It's one of these plays where he is running scout team for us. He takes a handoff, things open up, I step in front of him, and I just had like temporary memory loss. I forgot this guy was a killer, right? So I had kind of conditioned myself to question $1 million. What does that feel like? What does it feel like to tackle a guy that's making $1 million? So I just lost it, and I stepped in front of him, and like, boom!
You found
and then
out.
he like, I spent around, my helmet like smashed into my face, and I was like, okay, that's $1 million.
Thank y'all. That's good stuff. Danny, I'm going to point this one at you because this is specifically for you, because I've always wanted to ask this. No, I know who the oldest is up here. I know that. I got it. Me. I'm the oldest. Of these, you're the oldest. You had your best season in the NFL in 1993, and then you retired in 94. What was your thought process behind that? And I know if it's putting on the spot now, I've always wondered that.
No, Randy, these guys, again, they are as they are. You're not getting anything false. They're not giving us a show. I was blessed to be a little bit ahead of them and come through at a time where what mattered to us more than anything was relationships. Mm-hmm. And I'm from Megs. Everybody put your hand over your heart, say Megs.
Coach Ward did it. He just did it.
So, we have maybe 1,000 people in my hometown, and I lived in leaving and wanted to become a professional football player. I wanted to go to college, hopefully land in the NFL, make some money, and come back and work with kids in my hometown. And when the Lord opened the door for me to be able to do that, and when it happened, I'm sitting in a locker room not thinking about it. But it came to a place where I felt like he just opened the window, and I found myself just questioning, I can leave. I had my fill. I'd had, professional sports is not about everybody at the top. For what you guys, for what meets the TV, we see a lot of people smiling. You see the lighter side. You see, for the most part, the commercial side, right? It's designed to sell stuff, to sell a product to the public. The guys living on the other side that are doing, the work as far as playing, it's more of a grind, and it's not so much about just being able to score a touchdown or all those things again that meet the TV that we get to celebrate. What's there is guys in a locker room that, for the most part, hopefully will purpose to take care of each other. They learn to work together. And when I learned in Washington how to work with a team, I had several guys that blessed my socks off. When I learned the benefits of that, the blessing of that, I couldn't wait to get home to be able to share that with kids in my community. And the Lord set it up that one day again, I'm sitting in the locker room and he just opened the door. And I started telling guys from that point, I get to go home.
Awesome. Thank you. That's awesome. All right, Charlie, Shawn, I want to ask you this. How much, when you guys were coming through college and even playing high school, how much did the success of the other guy motivate and push you? That didn't take long.
No, like I said, we grew up together. Literally grew up together. Did a lot of things together. And so I'm not sure if it was just us enjoying playing sports. I admired his career and vice versa, I'm sure, because we were great friends. And so I was just happy that we both had success. Right. That was the main goal and focus for us, because when you have friends, you want to see them succeed, except for when we play against each other. But, I think us just enjoying the process. I don't think it was a rivalry of who's going to be the best quarterback in the city or any of those types of things. It was more so we just enjoyed doing what we're doing, and we're going to be happy for that guy.
Gotcha. Okay. John.
I completely agree. Once he started playing, it was always, finding out how well he did. And I knew they were going to do well, especially after having played against them. By far one of the toughest teams that I've ever had to play against because of what they did and who they were. But everybody doesn't know all the things he went through to get to the point where he ended up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew the kind of person he was, I knew the kind of player he was, and I knew he was going to succeed. It's just a matter of time before the rest of the country and the rest of the world got a chance to see what we already knew.
Right.
And so I was always pulling for him. I knew, and even watching, my brother Mike, the coaches would say something like, your brother's going to be reading you. And I was like, he's going to talk 60 minutes. And he's going, as soon as he steps on the field, it's going to be, I see you today. And I'm like, shut up, man. I mean, that's just how it is.
Right. And y'all did play each other, correct? Oh, yeah. That's right. And I can tell the folks here, the high school games that these guys were involved in '86 and '87 were the best high school football games I've ever seen in my life, period. And I remember the coach from Thompson, Luther Welsh, made a comment that if the two teams had been combined, the only teams that would have had a shot at beating them at that point was the Green Bay Packers. And I don't doubt that. All right, let me ask the whole group. Okay. You've got an opportunity to say something to young athletes today based on your experience and what you know the sports world. It's changed a lot. It has changed a lot, and it's changing a lot. We were talking about it. The NIL stuff with colleges and the transfer portal, which is, believe it or not, kind of rearing its head in high school, believe it or not. What would you say to these young men and their families? One sage bit of advice. What would you give them? What would you say?
I'll start because I know these guys got some great ones. My thing, when I talk to my players that I mentor, that I coach, one of the things I always share with them is just enjoy the moment. A lot of times we get so caught up into all the stuff that comes in, the decisions you've got to make, and those things are going to happen. But wherever you are, you just have to enjoy each and every moment of that. And that is something my parents can tell you. When it came down to me choosing a school, I really waited until the last minute because I was just enjoying being in high school. And they were like, hey, it's time to make a decision. It's like the end of January, February's signing day. And so I was just enjoying the moment, and that's something I always share with mentors, people. Just enjoy the moment where you are and don't allow the Lord to direct your path. Because a lot of times we do need plans. We need to have plans. But sometimes the Lord's going to direct us where we need to go. But we start trying to make those plans beforehand, and then it distracts us from what we're currently doing. And so I just always tell people to enjoy the moment.
Good answer. Yeah. Thank you.
I 100% agree with you in enjoying the moment. I think we came up in a time in the era with Thomas County football where what you saw was a lot of high school guys out there just having fun. Mm-hmm. We be honest with you, I don't think there was a time when we grew up we didn't talk about college. We didn't talk about where you're going, and we talked about our favorite teams and things like that. But as far as what's your next step, our next step was that next play. Our next step was that time we have together. Danny mentioned something in this when he was just talking about how the sport itself, when you get into college sports, now you get into professional sports, there's a marketing there that's going to attract people. The players are not necessarily a part of that, right? And so where you can kind of get off track is trying to focus or major on the things that you cannot control. And so what I tell a lot of the young guys come up is you focus on the things that matters to you in your heart and what you can control. What you can control around you. You can influence the guy next to you and be a leader from that standpoint, but you can't make him do something you don't want him to do. Just encourage him being you. So focus on what you can focus on, what you can control, and enjoy the moment.
Great answer. Good answer.
I kind of got two different viewpoints I agree with them from a different perspective as a coach recruiting, and as one that I have a son that's in high school playing right now. And the biggest thing I would say is, just like they say, enjoy it. Because I think sometimes some of these athletes are under so much stress of trying to make it that they can't. They don't enjoy it. And then they don't make the decisions about what it is that they actually want to do. Mm-hmm. So like I always tell my son, I said, when you go home after practice and you're in college and it's 9 o'clock at night, you better enjoy what you study. Mm-hmm. Because when you go to your room and you want to be a musician, and then you trying to study nuclear engineering, you're gonna look at the same word for 2 hours. And so I try to get them to understand, enjoy where you are right now and just do what you are called to do, because if you're not prepared for any moment that you're gonna be in, you're not gonna be successful. So a lot of guys that go off and they had this image of playing and being in front of the lights, and then when they get in that moment and it's so big, they can't handle it because they're not prepared for it. So I just tell them to enjoy it.
Awesome.
I would obviously echo what these guys are saying. At the same time, for our younger guys, it becomes a big ball of distractions at this point. I got this telephone, and most of them have telephones. And the challenge with them, with their developing mind, is trying to manage what's on that thing and not understanding that that's set to suck you in and continue to feed your brain and your spirit, and it's continually doing that. Again, that's not sport. That's not football. That's not aspirations for doing something, and my ability to focus on it so that I could do the things that these guys are speaking. I can actually try and move in a direction that's going to help me be successful in it. So we try and encourage our kids as much as we can. We've got to stay focused. We've got to stay away from the distractions. And parents that are in position with developing athletes or whatever their direction is, I would encourage as much time as you can helping them cultivate paths that are going to lead them closer to that. And when it comes to, if you can think about it, I'm recruited by 5 schools. When I graduated Central or that senior year, 5 schools, none of them were major colleges, right? Different than Junior and Shawn and Mike. Mine was so stressful trying to choose between one of the next partners. Most of us in here have had either a girlfriend or boyfriend, right? Most of us? Well, I don't want to tell anybody. No, most of us have been in relationships where, well, again, if you can imagine 3 or 4 of those girlfriends calling at the same time every night because they need to talk to you. No, they have to talk to you. And I've been at places where I would say parents made mistakes and that they turned that over to the 17, 18-year-old and said, okay, this is your thing, you manage it. They're not prepared for that. We really have to be at a place where we want to help them manage those moments, make it a family moment as best you can, and they'll fare a whole lot better with it.
Fantastic. Guys, I want to thank y'all. From the bottom of my heart, as somebody who cares about Thomasville and Thomas County, you guys have always been ambassadors for your home and have done it the right way. And I think we owe them a big round of applause for coming and sharing with us today.
Mike, you made the right decision, and now that y'all may be getting with a good school, that's okay. You know, everybody can't go to the University of Georgia. I was recruited out of high school as a cheerleader, and went to the University of Georgia, and I was a little ashamed of that. Charlie Ward, Sr., picked on me unmercifully about being a cheerleader. I did bring my Purple Heart medal from Vietnam to show him that I had other things that I'd done. So But I'm glad I took the offer. I didn't get a lot of offers for cheerleader, but I took that one. Rebecca, you've done a good job, and this is a good turnout.